of indication that some of our new citizens, even those that have been here a long time, have some basic misunderstandings about how things are set up. So let's get started with county government and the current council administrative form of government started when home rule kicked in 75, 76. That's when we started with administrators, right?
Yes. Well, no, really what you had up until that time, there's several forms of government you can have. They're all described by the state. You just can't come out and say, well, we're going to have a dictatorship. What do y'all think about that? You can't do it. We are under the council administrator. There's also a council manager. There's also a pure council. There's also a supervisor, okay? But Anderson County had a supervisor who was elected by all of the people. And then there were council representatives from the different areas. The supervisor had a vote just like they did, but they were the day-to-day person who operated the government.
That was after home rule, though, right?
That was after home rule. And so then they had a referendum, and the county decided to go to the council administrator form of government, which means the 7 members of the Anderson County Council hire an administrator and the clerk to council. Those are the 2 positions they hire. And then they set policy, operations, how everything should go. But the day-to-day implementation of that is left to staff. Staff does a set policy. The county council sets policy. County council members in Anderson County are elected for a 2-year term. Some places have 4-year terms.
Most places do, actually.
Most places in South Carolina, and they have 4-year staggered terms, so there's not a complete turnover every time. In Anderson County, you could really replace the entire council after 2 years.
Well, what would it take to change that in Anderson County?
It's already been tried before. There were referendums, and
That's the only way to change it.
And that is the only way to change it. Council can't vote it in. It has to be approved by the people in order for that to happen. And at the last one, I think that was about 10 years ago off the top of my head, and they said, no, we like the 2 years. It's good enough for the House of Representatives, United States House of Representatives in South Carolina. We like 2 years.
I guess the argument, though, is the House of Representatives has multiple states that you're never going to have an entire House of Representatives term.
Well, that's true. But if you have that, then...
How do you end up with 7 council members?
There were 5 forever and a day. But then because of the growth in the population, they said, why don't we add some more to give more centralized representation for certain areas? Kind of like the Planning Commission forever and a day was comprised of 7 members. Let's add some more members to get better representation throughout the county. Same thing that they're doing with the library. You've had X for a number. There are more people here now. Probably, I know there are 220,000 people if they're not 230,000 people. And so let's have more representatives so we can have more input. So that's basically what it is.
Has there been any discussion of expanding council?
No. You know, Greenville County has like 12. Pickens has 5. So, you know, it's just all over the map on how you do it.
Well, but, you know, you mentioned Greenville. Anderson County also has at least among the bottom 2 or 3 paid salaries for council members. I think Greenville's is $25,000.
I think off the top of my head it's $25,000. I think the chairman gets $35,000. I know there's a bump for the chairman in Greenville County, and our people probably make
$8,930.
For the amount of time that they put in, they probably make 25 cents an hour. The only way that a council's salary can change, the council can vote for a salary increase to take effect in the next term. So no sitting council can vote themselves a raise. They can vote the next council a raise. They can do that. But this council cannot benefit from it. That's state law too.
So council has to do it. It can't be like legislative delegation or something.
No.
Well, another question. Governmentally, what can council do and what can council not do?
Council can enforce, write, handle, determine county ordinances, county policy. They do the budget. They determine how large, you know, how we support the sheriff's department, how we support the court system, all of those things. All of that is done by county council. State passes state level legislation that can impact what the counties do. And I mean, that happens all the time. They say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. State law transcends county law. State law is subservient to federal law. So that's just the way that works.
So what are the responsibilities of the legislative delegation for helping Anderson County?
Legislative delegation should have a statewide perspective on things that are good for everybody in South Carolina, but they also should be aware of local issues and what they can do to assist in local issues. And certainly they have a voice just like a regular citizen has a voice to say what they like and what they would like to see. Many times council, as in the case on the proposed penny sales tax, council says we need to do a penny sales tax, but we don't want to put a tax on people for unprepared food. So the county council petitioned the delegation, just as they did in Greenville, and said, would you please give us the permission to take unprepared food out of the equation? And they said, you have that permission, but you have to pass an ordinance saying that you want to take unprepared food out of the equation, which our council is doing. So that's kind of just one example of how that works.
Well, in that example, council just passed that on third reading. Speaking of the referendum, a study was done of all the roads and bridges in Anderson County. More than a third of the roads are failing or failed already, meaning they're unsafe. And as we sit right here, 1/3 of the bridges can't be crossed by a fire truck or a school bus. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
So if approved, how much would it generate, this penny generate, and how quickly can Anderson County get these roads up to an acceptable?
I think right now it would generate $35 million a year, and we could begin almost immediately, because that money would be coming in, and we could get a lot of things done. Look, some of these projects, we already know what to do with them. We just don't have the money to do them. But if we had that money, we could make sure that our roads were as good as anybody's in the country.
And there's over 1,500 miles of those.
1,550 miles of county road, 1,250 miles of state roads, and the roads in the cities. And what we're doing with the cities is we are asking the mayor and council of each city to tell us what they want. What roads do you think? Because always the government closest to the people governs best. So they know better than the county on what needs to be done in each individual town. And as you know, Anderson County has 9 towns.
And so the municipalities will help prioritize road needs, and they will receive the penny sales tax money as well.
Just because you live in a town doesn't mean you're not a county resident.
And speaking of the state roads, SCDOT just added some Anderson sites to their bridge list. Is that right?
That's correct, and they need to add some more. And we're getting a lot of paving done from the state off of that penny sales tax, and we expect that to increase. And it's already making a difference, but we still have a long ways to go. I've said this before, you can ride across the road into Georgia, their roads are better. You can ride into North Carolina. It's going to take the county level and the state level to get these roads perfect. And when you hit a pothole, that's not good for your car, okay? Bad roads cause accidents. Bridges that you can't use, that's a problem. There are ways to fix it. The council, and I've said this and people are tired of me saying it, they could have raised millage, $1 million a mill. That's $10 million. You're not touching it. You could add a vehicle fee to your car, $25, $30. That's not touching it. Things with both of those is only the people in Anderson County pay those. Penny sales tax, would 100% of the people in Anderson County pay that? True. But there would be an additional 30% money coming from people who don't live here because of I-85, Lake Hartwell, Clemson University, soon to be Anderson University football, all of these things. People come here from all over. I've said it, this has become a destination for people for fishing. It's becoming a destination for people for recreation and concerts.
You add to that the growth in population like you were talking about, and you've got a real soupy, messy situation for roads. One study, and again, this study is almost 5 years old now, it was done late 2019, 2020, said that a place with poor roads, the average cost to maintain tires and alignment and everything was somewhere around $480 a year.
I've seen that number. That may be true, and I wouldn't dispute it, but I know it has an effect on your tires. I know if you have to get an alignment, how much that costs.
And they're big on safety always.
Well, Michelin, the 4 Michelin plants here, they kind of know about our roads.
Right.
But yes, it has an effect on that, and probably what you're paying on that penny is going to make your car, or at least your tires, last a little bit longer, your suspension, all of that stuff.
Well, speaking of roads, Anderson County has a new director for roads and bridges, Jonathan Fox. His experience in the private sector and working for Anderson County seems like a pretty good fit.
Jonathan has been being groomed, trained, and he is ready for that job, and he's already doing a remarkable job, and he will continue to do a remarkable job. He's a smart young man, one of the smart men and women that are coming along in Anderson County, taking their place.
And speaking of that, former Roads and Bridges Director Matt Hogan is promoted to Deputy Administrator. So y'all preparing him for future things.
Yes.
What are his responsibilities?
His responsibilities are handling just everything in the county that needs to be done. He is learning every facet of the county. He was already best roads and bridges person you could have. But even while he was doing that, he was being exposed to other things. Case in point, he's been spending time at PAWS at the Anderson County Animal Shelter. He's spending time in these areas just to broaden what he can do. But he's already has line authority to make decisions because he knows what to do. He knows how we do things, how we operate. And he also understands the number one golden rule in Anderson County government is that everybody who pays taxes, they are our boss. And we have to treat them with respect and do the best job we can. Because everybody that you see wandering around, they pay our salary. So let's treat them like they're our boss, treat them with dignity, respect, and try to make their lives easier.
Well, speaking of PAWS, they're still crowded out there, right?
They're crowded. Our local humane society, this is cat season. Cat season is always not good for shelters because there's so many cats. Again, there are numerous opportunities in Anderson County for spay and neuter, free spay and neuter, reduced cost spay and neuter, and we encourage people to do that because, PAWS, Anderson Humane Society, both right now can take all the cat food that you have that you want to donate, all of these things. You can go on the Humane Society's website and see what they need. They have a desperate need. Most everybody is filled, and it's really just starting. So,
is the feral cat program still in place?
yes,
So that's helping some.
that helps some.
Council also recently approved $83 million for the new Anderson County Detention Center. And I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but give me the quick pitch on why this is so urgent and what it'll look like when it'll open.
Groundbreaking on the new detention center will take place this Friday at 11 o'clock on the exact site where the detention center will be. This Friday at 11 o'clock, you will probably see behind the podium equipment because they will start the next Monday working on that. Why? Our jail is built to hold 250 people. We've had over 400, 450 for a long time. Those are inhumane conditions. If we don't do something, the state's going to shut it down, the federal government's going to shut it down. It's going to be a detention center, but it's also going to be a place where you can begin your rehabilitation process, where you can receive psychological counseling. We've established scholarships if you finally reach the end of your addiction journey that you want help. If you're a man or woman, we have scholarships in place for you to get that treatment. Just a whole different way of looking at detention. You don't need those people recirculating. You need to at least do what you can. If you could get, of the repeat offenders, if you could reduce that by 10%, you've done a good day's work. So it's a whole nother program, the criminal justice group that's been working here in Anderson, which will be meeting today at 4 o'clock, talking about ways to do things. I think they're going to have a speaker today from Aiken County on what they're doing on mental health, because we're always trying to reach out, always trying to learn, find best practices. So it's going to be a different way. The mental health court's up and running right now. That's going to take and help people who have mental health issues not have to go to jail. Jail doesn't do them a bit of good. And we're going to expand that to the Veterans Court to do the same thing.
It's already a drug court.
Yep, so you've already got a drug court. But all of those things trying to keep people out of jail, but also under strict supervision. Just because you went to a drug court, you still have to report on a very regular basis, and you have to hit all your marks or everything goes away. Mental health courts, instead of putting you in jail, help you find treatment. It's just a different way of looking at things.
You've also said this new detention center will not put future councils and county leaders in the same position you're in here now. It'll be built for expansion.
It will be built for expansion. If you take in the clinic and everything else that will be out there, probably around 650 beds. But the infrastructure is going to be put in if you have to add on to it in future years. So that is looking ahead. Does it cost a little bit more money, but it's easier to do it now than wait some other time.
Well, just across the road from that, since last time we met, Anderson County hosted its largest music festival ever. And personalities and politics aside, why was this event such a milestone for the county?
There's been a huge cry for concerts, recreation in Anderson County for some time. We built the new stage at the amphitheater, which we're going to have a concert coming up there for Celebrate Anderson. It's going to be Saturday entertainment and Sunday entertainment. The Cancer Associations are going to set up in the balloon launch field, so we're going to have that. But it was good because it took us to a international market for concerts, and it proved that Anderson could do that with only 2 arrests. And we had 41,000 people in the area Friday night, 41,000 in the area on Saturday, because a lot of people, they just stood outside and listened to it, or they just came to be around a bunch of people having a good time. So we're in a different level now than we were in attracting entertainment. And that's what you have to do. You have to prove yourself, and we did. And these people will be back next year, but they're also looking at bringing in other things, and some other large concert people are looking at us now because of that.
So promoters, now we're now on the map for promoters as a legitimate place.
Yeah, because, hey, we can bring, the people will come here. We've always tried to stress to people that Abbeville, all of the counties across the river in Georgia, Oconee, Pickens, all of these areas, people from Greenville, this is an easier place for them to come than some of the other locations. And it's easy to get here, and we have hotels and accommodations for you to stay. Now, when we had Rock the Country, not only did we help Anderson's hotels and Airbnbs, but also Clemson's and Greenville's and every place else. So it was good in a time of the year when you don't have a lot of hotel use. It was really a shot in the arm for our people here.
And it led to there's another booking in November, I think, from a major act
Yes.
because of that.
Yes.
Amphitheater.
Yes, looking at several things that are not country music, and we're hoping that they come together here pretty quick, because we want to expand it for everybody to have a good time and to see these things.
You mentioned Celebrate Anderson and the Hot Air Fair coming up in a couple of weeks. How has that event evolved in recent years? I know once Freedom Weekend Aloft was here and then it left and you had to retool the whole thing. How did Celebrate Anderson develop?
Well, this will be the 25th anniversary, and it was designed to celebrate Anderson County, and that's what it still is, to celebrate Anderson County, but to really celebrate the people who work in Anderson County. It's a festival for everybody.
On Labor Day.
On Labor Day. And you should come out if you want to. It'll be fun. We'll have kiddie rides out there. There'll be a lot of vendors. You can buy a lot of stuff. You can see hot air balloons. And the concerts on Saturday will be Randy Houser on Saturday and Ashley McBride on Sunday, who was she was featured on CBS Sunday Morning some time ago. And I think she is really, really appealing to a whole lot of people. It doesn't cost you a dime. If you eat something, you're going to pay for that, but the entertainment is free.
First year we've had 2 concerts.
First year, because it's the 25th year, and there will be a fireworks display on on Saturday and Sunday night. So if you can't see one, you can see the other. We're putting in a ticketing system right now so we can keep a better track of who comes in. And we've already had 5,000 tickets picked up for those 2 events. That's for both nights. But if you come, you will not be turned away. So make plans to come, have a good time. Thank our sponsors who are helping put this on. Couldn't do it without them. Arthrex is a big sponsor for us. And it'll be fun, and hopefully the weather will be a little cooler.
Well, without leaving the Civic Center grounds, this was the first full season of KidVenture 2.0. It seems to have been pretty well received. What's the next phase planned, and what will be done there?
All right, we're still waiting on the playground equipment to complete the pedal. And when that comes in, we will install that. And we're hoping it's going to come in hopefully by November. But we have already designed another area that will be part and parcel of KidVenture. So after this equipment comes in, is installed, we will begin looking for funding for the next phase of KidVenture, because KidVenture is not a static one-off. We're also looking to do work in Wellington, in Homeland Park, which is underway right now. So we've got some projects lined up for that. We're still waiting on the playground equipment for the airport part. We're waiting from the state funds from Senator Cash and Senator Gamble to come down for work at Dolly Cooper and Hurricane Springs and several other smaller parks that we're working at. We're also looking at additional state money for projects out at Green Pond, and really just every park that we have, we're looking to improve and make them more user-friendly.
And you mentioned Green Pond. Council approved last week some new electric capacity and lighting for Green Pond. What will those upgrades mean for Green Pond Landing Event Center?
Well, a lot of things that we do out now, we have to use generators. If we're successful in getting this grant from Undiscovered South Carolina, and I think we have a very good chance, it will make the electricity available all over Green Pond, so we won't have to use generators, but it will also provide additional lighting to make it safer out there during the night. So we're really excited about that. I think there's an excellent chance that we're going to get funding for that. So that's what that will do for that. But people always need to remember, it's Green Pond Landing and Event Center. You don't have to fish to go out there. You can just go out there and wander around, walk around, have a picnic out there. We have several people who are going to be renting the amphitheater next year for entertainment that they want to put on. And we'll be able to flesh that out more as we go along.
Well, speaking of the lake, we haven't done an update. This summer, heading into its final weeks, was the first full year of the new rescue fireboat. How's that worked out?
Worked out very well, but we're also very excited, better than we could have even imagined. It's been wonderful, and it's been a blessing, and it has actually proven beneficial. But we're also looking, we're not, but Lake Hartwell Association was looking to have a boat that will allow them to pick up trash on the lake more efficiently. So we're excited about that. Council supported that and gave some funding towards that. So we're excited about that too, to help Lake Hartwell stay clean and beautiful.
Does the rescue boat have a name yet?
If it does, I don't know it.
So,
There's been several names given, but we'll just leave it at that.
Council also approved what seemed to me to be fairly minor changes to EMS response times for non-emergency calls. It seemed pretty clear, but it seemed to be a lot of controversy over it. Give me a quick summary on why that move was made.
After examining, studying, looking at everything, there are two types of calls. There are emergency paramedic calls, that's where you go. The other ones could be anything from helping somebody get back in the bed, which you almost really could have an ambulance in Anderson County devoted to helping people who've fallen. I'm just telling you the truth. But the other one's the second tier calls that aren't life-threatening emergencies, but we still have a time that you need to be there by that time. A lot of places have done away with that. We still have that. And I think it's still good that we do have that. But it's based on reality.
And those are calls that don't use lights or sirens or anything. That
No.
slows them down in their response.
That's
time.
exactly right.
Well, the November election is not too far away, and Anderson County's Board of Registration and Elections are seeking poll workers, and a lot of older workers are aging out of positions. Some counties are supplementing the pay for training. Is Anderson County ever considered supplementing pay for those workers?
We haven't been approached with that at this point in time, but I'm sure council would do anything they could to make sure that we had fair, clean elections that were properly staffed. And it is a problem getting people to work those elections. And you, like you said, you've had a group dedicated to that who've done it for years and years and years, but a lot of them are aging out. But it's a fun day to spend doing that. It's a full day, but it's a fun day, and you get to see a lot of people, and you get to participate in democracy. It's fun.
I think it'd be good to mention we lost a pair of legendary citizens in recent weeks. Dr. Bob Austin and Joe Davenport will be missed, and you can't replace either one of those guys. I know you do them both pretty well.
No, you can't replace those guys. They were both unique individuals. I mean, Dr. Bob probably did more free stuff than anybody could ever imagine. Plus, he was very interested in bus shelters, very interested in Kid Venture. If it was good for Anderson, Bob Austin was there, and Joe Davenport, character of the first quality,
And connected to Olin Johnson and T.L. Hammond.
and knew more about the old history in Anderson than just about anybody, and probably, and a lot of times from a personal level, but he did a lot of good things for Anderson County, and he will be missed also.
And we're losing those generations of people.
You're losing those generations of people.
Well, finally, in 102 days, Anderson County's Christmas tree will have its unofficial lighting before Thanksgiving week. Any other county Christmas events planned or upgrades? Or when will Santa go up in your office?
Santa always goes up when the Christmas tree goes up, but I can already report successfully that the new growth on the Christmas tree is occurring. So it is growing right now, And no telling how much more it will grow in the next 100 days, but we know it's going to
So maybe
be.
another 4 feet?
You know, it just depends on the fertilizer, but we know it's going to be larger than it was last year.
Well, 4 feet, we figured this out one time. It'll take us about another 8 or 9 years. We'll be as big as Rockefeller Plaza Tree.
Yeah, but we're thinking about getting a big platform to put it on.